Hey, all you wonderful people! Welcome to Pixel Clicks presents Resident Evil Revelations 2. I am Jordan, not to be confused with Michael Jordan, who I am not. But as always, I am not alone. I'm here with my good friends, Renz and Jayjay. Say hi, guys.
Milk.
Anyway, so the idea behind this thing is to talk about Resident Evil Revelations 2, which we're all fans of the Resident Evil series, correct?
Yes, Die Hard.
Sort of. I just got into it kind of recently, about like a couple years ago, so sort of a new
he's a
fan
fan.
here.
He's
Recently, a
Sure,
couple
why not?
years ago.
he's lying. When we were kids, he watched me play Resident
Yeah.
Evil 2. He liked
I was
Resident
scared
Evil.
of it. I was scared of it.
Yeah, so just last week, the final episode of Resident Evil Revelations 2 came out. And I'm curious to know how you guys felt about it. Me and Renz spoke a little bit about this earlier. So, JJ, how did you feel about Resident Evil Revelations 2 as a whole?
I kind of like the game because I hated RE6 a lot. That one disappointed me a bunch. I never played a lot of Revelations 1 because I'm scared of that game. 2 I find pretty fun. The co-op mechanic is I find great because one character uses a gun, the other one sort of a support.
Yeah.
Going through the episodes though, it felt like it was getting a little better by each episode, and then they're trying to throw in some old like classic RE twists in between episodes, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had to replay the third episode a bunch to get the good ending because I messed it up and I was missing lots of stuff.
See, now here's the funny thing. I did not even know there were two separate endings until I talked to Renz about the ending, and we had two entirely different endings. So
Yeah, dude, my
it
ending
turns
was
out,
terrible.
yeah, it turns out I got the good ending just right off the bat. Like that was just how I played the game. I just got the good ending. And I didn't even realize that there was an option to get the bad ending.
I didn't either. Actually, what I did
end-
was I got the bad ending first. Well, I didn't even get to the bad ending. I ended up doing that, that choice with Claire instead of Moira, and
Yeah.
I played Barry's part of the episode, and I was like, oh, I can't get that gun because I didn't do the puzzle for Claire. So I went back and just switched to Moira because I was like, oh, what would happen if Moira did the cutscene instead? So I was on the path to the good ending. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
I
made
was
a good
confused.
choice.
I was confused when I
So
got
you
my
got
ending.
the bad ending?
Yeah, it was the worst ending of Resident Evil history. Like I think Resident Evil Gaiden had a better ending than
Did you
this
get the
ending.
good ending at all?
Oh yeah, dude, I went back and did it again after Jordan told me, yeah, my ending was like super epic. I was like, dude, my ending was like was Moira ripping out Alex's heart. That was my ending. And Barry's like on his knees crying.
You mean
That's it.
Natalia?
No, yeah, Natalia, my bad.
Yeah.
Natalia rips out Alex's heart, and Barry's
You
on
call
his
yourself a
knees
Resident
crying.
Evil fan?
It was terrible. That ending made me so mad. Then I
So-
then I
Well, yeah,
messaged Jordan.
So speaking of being
That's
mad,
why it's
Renz,
called the bad ending.
let's hear your thoughts on Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Oh, I
Game
love this.
sucked.
I can't wait.
Game sucked.
And
No, I'm
why?
kidding. It wasn't that bad. I had higher expectations just because Resident Evil 6 was terrible.
Yeah.
Just because
I
it
had the
might as
lowest
well have been
expectations.
it might as well have been Gears of War. Resident Evil 6 might as well have been Gears of War with Halo. And
Oh, I
then
disagree.
so I was like, okay, Revelations 2, hopefully it's gonna be good. Like
Yeah.
they stuck true with the behind the shoulder. That game scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Resident Evil 2 scared me a few times. I jumped out of my seat a couple times. I'm not gonna lie.
It's fair.
But
Coward.
the story behind Revelations 2, I feel like us three could have wrote a better story.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
That's how I feel about that. And if Barry's a part of the BSAA, me and Jordan talked about this. Why would they send him in alone?
Yeah, it
And
makes
then for
no
some reason,
sense.
And then some reason Claire comes out of nowhere with a rocket launcher and a sniper rifle.
She's just filling
Like-
2 roles, you know.
It's like the beginning of the episode of episode 4. Claire's in the hospital.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's on a helicopter, haircut and everything, looking like Ada. Kills Alex. I was just like, okay, cool. But I was just more upset about
I'm
how
back.
they didn't tell us anything what Barry was doing between Resident Evil 1 till now.
Yeah.
And same with Claire. Well, Claire with Code Veronica, and then maybe Damnation. I don't know if you can count Damnation, but yeah, I just don't like how they didn't fill us up. They didn't fill us in on anything. Like, period. They're just like, oh, here's Claire and Barry. They're back.
What if they make another game where Barry's Russian mission comes up?
Actually, no. You can't. You mean Degeneration for Claire, right?
Is it Degeneration or is it Damnation?
Degeneration is Claire and
Degeneration.
Leon. Damnation is just Leon.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah.
Damnation or Degeneration then.
Yeah.
Degeneration, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, as a whole, Revelations 2 is great as a filler episode for Resident Evil and like just fan service everywhere for Resident Evil as a
Oh.
whole. I
So
mean,
many puns.
yeah, they made so many callbacks to old Resident Evil jokes, which is fine. I mean, that means that the developers they know what people love about Resident Evil. They know about the jokes that came from Resident Evil. But
At least us
I don't know.
Americans.
As I was playing the game, like I really enjoyed it at the beginning, but then as the game kept going on, I was like, okay, this is fun, you know, gameplay standpoint, it's nice and solid, but the story just kept bugging me because there's just so many holes in it. Like after you beat the game, you're still left with so many extra questions, like that was apparently supposed to be filled in by the extra episodes, but that didn't really finish. That didn't really tell us anything at all.
Wait, I have to say about
I didn't do
this.
this.
In the extra episode as Moira, how did that old man lift all those rocks, and how did he get up there in less than 2 minutes?
Right?
How did
And
they
her
lift the
bracelet-
giant
her
rock
bracelet-
slab
her
in episode
bracelet-
2?
Her bracelet turned red. Moira was supposed to turn into a monster.
Yeah.
So
when,
there were just so many loopholes in the story, like it made no sense.
yeah. When Claire jumps out of the thing, the place explodes. Like
Exactly.
that was the whole reason with the countdown. How did Moira survive at all? Like.
Period. She got her legs crushed by like 3-ton boulders. Like, oh, okay, no, I'm just gonna put some bandages on it. It's cool.
Yeah.
We'll call it a
I
day.
know why. I know how. She's
And
a
mind you,
Burton.
another thing that bothered me is Barry's storyline takes place 6 months after the Claire storyline, right?
Yeah, that's a long time lapse.
Right, and then
Yeah,
and
it
then,
is.
and then somehow at the end of Moira's extra episode, you see Yevgeny, the old Russian dude, he dies, and Barry's already on the island. But then when you're
Right.
Barry and you find his body in episode 2, he's a decomposing corpse.
And he's laying down and not sitting down.
And he's laying down. Yeah, it makes like he's
And he has a
just
ruby in
suddenly
his hand.
deteriorated in like 3 days. Like,
It's just like, oh no, it's cool. I'm just gonna turn into bones in 3 days. It's cool. I don't care.
and then
Why
Natalia's
they just
extra
rushed the
episode.
story?
Yeah, no, they really rushed the story because remember when Barry finds Moira's phone and it has like a recorded message like, "Daddy, I'm sorry. This is as far as I'm gonna go." That showed up nowhere. That showed up nowhere at all. She never
Yeah.
recorded
And
it.
how is that phone still alive?
Right? It's been 6
Yeah,
months.
6 months.
There's no
That's a
electricity in that
powerful
damn
battery.
place.
But apparently all you gotta do is take out the SIM card, put it into a better phone, and it works. And you get all the voicemails.
Yeah, apparently that Resident
dear.
Evil technology is better than modern day technology.
Well, you know how it is, the
I-
viruses and all that.
Let's just start at the beginning. Let's talk about episode 1. Like, how'd you guys feel about episode 1?
Oh, I
Like,
liked
you
it
go
as a
first.
start. Oh, I was already going first. Thanks for interrupting. I kind of liked it as a start. It was short, sweet, and to the point. Uh, and at the end of episode 1, I was like, wow, what a huge revelation. 6 months. That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a good way to introduce the whole, like, the game and the mechanics and all that. And easy enemies.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
about it. I can't think about
I think the first episode was cool. It reeled me in, obviously, and since I'm a diehard Resident Evil fan, I was like, even if the game sucks, I'm still gonna play it just because I want to know what's happening. It was a cool pilot. I'll tell you that. It was a good pilot to suck people in.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know it was 6 months later until like, I think like halfway through Barry's episode.
Yeah,
I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. I was like, oh shit, 6 months later. Like, dang, it took him that long to find out where she was. Like,
right?
How did she survive? And then same with Natalia. How did she survive for 6 months by herself?
Yeah. like
she's a little kid. How does that happen?
Do you realize how strong those bricks are in the game?
Those bricks are super strong.
Bricks are overpowered.
They're pretty OP.
I'll be honest, I only used the brick twice. Like, the first time Natalia, I showed you that she uses a brick, and then, like, all the end of the last episode, that's when the second time I ever used the brick. Otherwise, I never, ever used the brick. Just...
I don't really get opportunities to use it anymore after, like, episode 2.
Yeah, it was pointless.
Like, in the third episode, I never used it.
It was utterly pointless, at least the way I played it. Back in episode 1, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked it. It was a nice introduction to the world, well, to the island at least, and to the mechanics and everything. Because out of the three of us, I have the unique perspective of not having played Resident Evil 6 yet. So I don't know how bad that game actually is. Like, I own it, like, but I'm going to get to it.
I never finished.
I'm going to get to it eventually. But I have it on PS3, so.
Oh crap.
Dude,
yeah.
I'll get it on PS3. I'll play it with you online, dude. I kind of want to play it again.
Yeah, I'm really.
That game was fun.
Yeah.
That game was fun. I liked it.
I mean, no matter what, like, no matter how bad Resident Evil gets, I still always have fun playing the games just because I really enjoy the world, no matter how batshit crazy it is.
I agree.
The stories are usually always good too.
Yeah, except after
after
Shinji Mikami left after 4, that's when everything just went downhill.
He did the level directing, I think, for this game.
Well, that's good.
Level design.
But the only problem with the level design is that it was all pretty much... It was all bland. Like, it was all boring, just like the same things over and over again, yeah. Like...
I like the forest part, though, in episode 1.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I understand it's 6 months apart. Like, I understand it's 6 months apart, but, like, the deterioration of the surroundings of the environments wasn't, like, 6 months of, like, a giant explosion and zombies running around destroying things.
Yeah, no, it made no sense.
It's very noticeable.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, there's a wall with a hole on it. Like, oh.
Like, the only noticeable thing is the enemies just being all, like zombies and deteriorated. Yeah,
like... Although I enjoyed the fact that they brought back, like, old school zombies, you know? Like,
yes, that made me so happy. That made me really happy.
Like, with 4, you have the Ganados, who are just dudes with parasites in their brains. But they're just normal people, really. And then in Claire and Moira's section, that's what they are. They're just dudes with stuff in their brains. Well...
Yeah, they were boring.
So those guys, they basically... fell victim to their own fear, right? And that's what turned them into those maniacs. Like, that's why they were like that, right?
Wait, which ones?
Just the normal enemies.
I think they were also being tested on too.
Yeah, they were.
If I remember reading the logs.
Yeah, in the logs they said that Alex was testing them. Like, she took over the island and started testing on all of them.
Yeah.
And I think
They're
the
like, oh,
way
we had
the
to pile 30
Ouroboros-
bodies today.
Well, I don't. Well, they used in Revelations 2 they used the Ouroboros from 5.
Yeah.
So that one's more of just like they're just insane, pretty much.
Okay.
Like they just don't have they don't have like any sense of what's going on. They're kind of just like, I'm gonna attack you because you're alive
Yeah.
and you're talking
Russian people.
to me. Like Russian people. Definitely like
Yeah.
Russian people.
They're Russian, I think, right? Yeah.
And
Yeah, that whole game was Russian.
just I have so many problems with all the plot holes. Like at the end of the episode, at the end of Barry's section of the episode, Natalia goes, "Moira, she's dead." Now, if you get the bad ending, that's true. But if you get the good ending, like,
Continuity, man.
Wait, hold on. This is where Resident Evil always messes up. In Resident Evil 1, Wesker... Okay, in Resident Evil 1 in the game, he dies via Tyrant, right?
yeah,
In the Resident Evil book, he dies from a Chimera. Or Chimera, I mean.
come on. Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, in the book, he dies as a Chimera. He dies from a Chimera ripping his head off. But in the game, he dies via stab of Tyrant.
Tyrant, yeah.
So the thing with the thing with Capcom and Resident Evil, they always like, yeah, I know there's good, bad, and like okay endings, but it's like, why do that when none of them are gonna make sense in the long run? Like,
yeah, like what is actually canon? Like,
yeah, exactly. What's canon? We don't know because they remade Resident Evil 1. Well, they said that Resident Evil 1 Rebirth is supposed to be canon over Resident Evil original one.
yeah. Well, I can understand that because that makes more sense considering the universe now. Because
Yeah.
in the remake, Wesker gets killed by Tyrant, but then they look again and he's gone. Ooh.
Yeah.
Because that's basically when he
Like,
becomes
yeah,
a superhuman. And then
But
then
the thing
you have
is,
the
he
problem
doesn't
with
turn into a
Resident Evil.
superhuman.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't turn into a superhuman till Code Veronica.
No. Oh yeah, Code Veronica. Yeah,
Yeah,
Code Veronica.
CB.
That's when he turns into a superhuman.
yeah,
But before that, he's just typical Wesker wearing shades at night.
yeah. Which is completely impractical.
Whisker.
I give him respect.
And then, like, when you get to Resident Evil 2, you have the two different stories, but if you play as Leon first, if you play Leon's story first, that's not canon. None of that is canon.
Yeah.
Like, the actual
Like,
canon
how would you
is...
know
I didn't know that.
The actual canon is Claire's story first, and then Leon's
And then-
side B. That's the canon
Yeah.
story.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's
No, that's
Nemesis.
confusing.
In Nemesis, the canon ending is when Barry picks up Jill and they fly out of Raccoon City before it explodes.
But to get that ending, you have to make certain decisions on how to kill Nemesis. Like, how are we supposed to know that?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, my first time playing Nemesis, I ran away from Nemesis every single time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna fight this guy. This dude has a freaking rocket launcher. And like, no, I'm not gonna fight
Yeah,
him.
why would you fight that? It's a waste of bullets. And see, going to like talking about difficulty when it comes to Resident Evil games is a lot of times. See, I like to play games on whatever the hardest difficulty available at the beginning is. Now, the problem with that is when you play a Resident Evil game, they stack things unfairly against you, like entirely. There were so many times playing Revelations 2 where I ran out of ammo. Like, I landed all my shots, not enough ammo to kill all the enemies.
Yep.
So I had to
Like,
like,
times when I had to fight bosses with knives.
yeah, like the only reason I beat Alex at the end of episode 4 was because I switched to Natalia and I had the perk where if Barry's not is AI controlled, he has extra bullets, and that's the only way I
That's how
won.
I beat 4. That's how I beat 4.
Yeah, I switched to Natalia because I had no bullets with Barry, but Barry had weapons while he's AI controlled. So so he killed Alex without me having to do anything.
Lame it out.
Yeah,
It's the only way.
basically. And that's another problem with
Yeah.
the game. Just the boss fights were they weren't even boss
They
fights.
were
It's just
bosses.
they were
I'm
Mini
a-
so
I'm a-
lame.
I will agree on that. Who was that guy with the drill?
Yeah. Oh
Kind of
God,
a boring fight.
that was
I just
such a
laid
boring.
just bullets in him. I even did a second attempt at it and just did a knife run against him, and it
Yeah.
worked. It was easy.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, to me, Resident Evil has gone to the point where like it's not even hard anymore. Like, period. Like the last hard Resident Evil, I would like to say was 3. Because
Do you even
even
call it
4,
survival horror anymore?
because even in 4 professional mode, I freaking breezed through that like it was no problem.
Yeah.
5, I destroyed
agree.
and got every achievement.
I agree.
6 was like, oh, 6, there's infinite ammo. Yes.
Oh dear.
See, I feel like Revelations 2 would have been a much more effective game if you took out Claire and Barry and it was just Moira and Natalia. Like, imagine that. You're just Moira, who only uses a crowbar. You're just Natalia, who's a little girl who can see where the enemies are. That would be a true survival horror game.
Ooh.
That'd be so scary. Because then you really can't fight
Yeah, it
everything
would.
at that point.
Yeah,
That would just be a
that
major
would be
stealth
sick.
section of everything. I would
Yeah,
like
like-
that.
Like, if they had done that at least once in the game where you're just Natalia or just Moira, then that would have been cool. But instead, what we get is, hey, walk around as Natalia so you know where all the bad guys are. Switch the berry, shoot them in the head so they get stunned. Run up to them, punch them in the face so they fall down. Run up to them and stab them. Every single enemy.
Yep. Yep. Or sneak attack them. Like what
Or
Jayjay
sneak
does.
attack 'em,
Yes. Oh, you saw the video. Yeah, sneak attacks
Yeah,
are
I saw
way
the
too
video.
easy. I did it to 5 enemies without being detected. It's like they were all like near each other, just facing one direction. I got all 5 dudes in a matter of like 20 seconds. It's that easy.
I think where Capcom is falling on Resident Evil, they're trying too hard to please the fans.
Yes.
Too hard.
Actually,
like,
no.
way too hard.
But here's the thing: they're not even pleasing the fans. They're just trying to appeal to
They're not?
everyone.
Oh yeah, true.
Well, I read this article somewhere. I forgot where it was. They were saying that they're gonna keep the Resident Evil, the main franchise, the numbered one through 6.
Yeah.
They said that 7 is gonna be exactly like 6, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's gonna be action.
Like, it's
Action
gonna
shooter.
it's gonna be all action shooter, and then
Oh, that's
they're gonna use
disappointing.
they're gonna use Revelations to like the true fans, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Capcom needs to get their shit together
Yeah, no, they
before
really
I stop
do.
being a Resident Evil fan.
Because I mean, the last great Resident Evil game was Dead Space
Agreed.
1.
No, the Resident Evil for the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color.
Biden,
With
that game was
Barry.
hard, okay?
Yeah, good.
I
That
beat
was the
that
true
game. That
Resident
game
Evil
was
game.
so hard. That
No,
game was
but-
so hard.
But think about it. Dead Space 1 clearly took all of its cues from Resident Evil, particularly Resident Evil 4.
Yep.
And it was
Yep.
scary. It was scary at the same time. Like,
Yep.
that was
Oh,
the
God,
last
yeah.
time anybody did it correctly. Like,
Yep.
even
Cause-
the Evil Within, which is helmed by Shinji Mikami, the guy who made Resident Evil, is not that great of a Resident Evil game. Like,
I think I didn't beat Evil Within, but I played like a good 4 hours of it.
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a good. It brought me back to Evil Within is like a Resident Evil Silent Hill mashup.
No, it is. It is.
That's how I look at it. That's
yeah,
what,
no, I would say that.
Like, I
was a
think
good
I'm
game.
about halfway into the Evil Within, and yes, I like the game. I like it a lot, but there's lots of problems with it. There are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
oh
definitely.
yeah.
Like,
That
just
game did scare me a few times though.
oh yeah, no, that game is generally creepy as hell. And sure, that there are some parts in Revelations 2 that are creepy, but as a whole, I didn't think it was all that scary. Granted, the last time I got really scared playing Revelations 2 was yesterday in raid mode during the daily, because you had to use Jill, and I was just walking around totally fine, and it was these weird, like, they were like the regenerators from Resident Evil 4, but rendered in HD, and it was the creepiest freaking thing ever. You know, the things that just walk around and they're like... Those guys?
I didn't like the regenerators. The
Yeah.
regenerators were scary.
Those things are in raid mode, and it was just god awful.
The hunters
Does
scared
anyone
me.
know does anyone know about the Skag Dead enemy from the first Revelations game? It's like a giant
Yes.
blobby
I
looking
do.
thing with a body. Okay, yeah, that enemy, I fought that in the casino level in raid mode for the first time, and it had a... Ooh.
Chainsaw.
See, I
That
need
is
to
a good
no, no, no.
game.
I need to play it still.
Yeah, me too.
Good
I need
game.
to finish that.
Good game.
It had the
Good
two
game.
enemy mods. It had magma on, so if I shot it and killed it, it would have exploded. And it had a speed enemy mod. So I had this giant blobby fat thing chasing after me, and I was just reloading in between, like running in between slot machines and tables, and I would just get hit. And at one point, I just had my Magnum. I was reloading it, and I turn around and I just shout. I just go like, ah! Because it just whacks me from the back of the head, and I was just laughing so hard. It was the
Yeah.
funniest thing that ever happened.
Oh, another thing Revelations 2 was missing, there was no backtracking. Period. None.
Oh yeah, it's very,
None.
very linear.
It's literally, you go down this path, that's your story. There you go.
Yeah. The only time there was some semblance of backtracking was in episode 3 in Claire's section, when you had to solve the puzzles, which is just stand in a
Oh,
room and don't
God.
get killed by the wall. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Those puzzles
That
aren't
is-
much of puzzles.
I will say, I think Revelations was Revelations 1 was one of the best Resident Evils before 4. Or I don't know how to put that. I didn't like 4 as much as everyone else did, but I think Revelations was better than 4 in my eyes.
I think because you just grew up with super classic, like, survivor horror, Resident Evil.
Well, I mean, Revelations 1 had every single thing that you could ask for in Resident Evil. It had a good storyline, it had some scary ass enemies, it had classic enemies, it had new enemies, the weapon system was cool, there was a lot of backtracking, and it was actually really scary. I guess
Yeah, I'll agree on that.
See,
Good
Resident Evil
points.
4 was a fantastic game, and it did change survival horror as we know it, because it just turned it into survival action. But yeah, what it lacked in the Resident Evil department is that puzzles. It didn't have puzzles really. You know,
No
it's just.
game has puzzles.
I mean, the original Resident Evil
That's
ones
true.
did. They had wonderful puzzles, like.
No, I mean like now, like nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
there's no
Oh,
such
yeah.
thing as puzzles in video
Yeah,
games.
nowadays people.
Yeah, I miss that.
And the thing that makes me mad is it's because the people who are playing Resident Evil now, they don't like the puzzles, so that's why Capcom does not
Nope.
put the puzzles in anymore.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's just really disappointing. Granted, every time a new Resident Evil game comes out, I have to buy it and play it. Much like how
Oh, yeah, of
whenever
course.
Resident Evil movie comes out, I have to watch that steaming
Of
pile of
course.
garbage.
We know it's gonna suck, but we're gonna watch it because it's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
you want to see what happens. Your curiosity.
Yeah, and I know we've been pretty negative for most of this thing. So let's talk about positives. What did you guys really like about Revelations 2?
You first, Jayjay.
I don't know if any of you have played co-op with a buddy. I have with my brother, and that was the most frustrating experience I've had, but it was really fun.
Yeah.
I put him on the helm of being first player, so he had to be Claire and Barry while I was support.
Yeah.
Not a good idea, but it was a good idea that I should have recorded. Because there was a lot of anger and a lot of hate spewing out of my mouth. and calling him an idiot and such things. It was fun. He got into it. He really liked the game
Yeah.
because he was just
Everyone always
interested
gets-
in the. Yeah, you know him. He
Everyone
likes.
always gets interested in games.
Yeah, well, he's terrible at it, but I should have recorded it because it would have just been a really funny video to watch.
Yes.
But
I feel like that's the best way to do it. Like, have someone who's not that great at the game be the person who keeps you guys alive.
yeah, he wasted all my inventory, and I had to restock it. Took hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Single player is also alright. I was okay with the switching characters mechanic.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to stick with one character all the time if I didn't want to, or I could just stay and play support and have the AI do stuff, let it just ruin my record of multiple retries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, what else? What else did I have fun with? I guess I kind of like the dialogue, the throwback dialogue that they had.
Yeah.
Just for good old memories, but I didn't really like Moira's character. I kind of hate her character. The only character I complain about most of the time, sorry. I think that's it. I can't
Yeah.
think of any more. Game's okay.
All right, Renz, what about you? What did you like about Revelations 2?
As much as I hated Resident Evil 2, there was a lot of there's a lot of nostalgia in that game. There was a
Yeah.
lot of nostalgia in that game. Like that's probably the biggest thing for me, that it was just so nostalgic playing that game. Just because we haven't seen Barry since 1. Like we haven't
Yes.
seen the full figure of Barry since 1.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. He looks exactly the same. Like he looks cool. He has a beard. He has the same cheesy dialogue. That's awesome. Claire, they did some improvements on her. That was really dope seeing her from Code Veronica to now.
Yeah.
And then Moira was I liked Moira's character just because it was the complete opposite of Barry. And
Yeah.
if you like
Hated
go
dialogue.
deep into their if you go deep into like the Resident Evil story, like you know how Wesker held Wesker held Moira and the
Paul.
other daughter hostage all throughout Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
So it's like it's pretty cool to see that Moira is dealing with another Wesker as she's grown up now.
Yeah.
So that was also a big plus for me. And then the Natalia I could have done without. I kind of wish they found a better character to help Barry through his situation, but
Yeah.
Like a
it was
sandwich?
overall, yes, like a Jill sandwich. But overall, it was a good game. I mean, not a good game, but it was very nostalgic. I just enjoyed like the cheesy lines, how Barry was like, "I have this," at the end of freaking episode 4.
Holding up the python like I have
have
this.
this.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, a Claire sandwich. That was cool." It was just
Yeah.
nostalgic. That's what I enjoyed about it. It brought me back
Yeah.
to when I was like 6 or 7. I was just like, dang, I didn't
Yeah.
find them funny back then, but now I look back at it, I'm like, that's some cheesy dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, yeah, the dialogue
And
was
the
definitely.
aiming was cool too, though. I like the aiming. The aiming was dope.
Yeah, no, the aiming was good,
Okay.
which is nice.
Okay.
Go
ahead,
Granted,
go.
I would have loved to have had the option to just have the red dot sight like in Resident Evil 4, just like have a little red dot on people's heads. That would have been nice, but
Oh. Laser sight?
yeah, laser sight. There you go. That's one. Yeah.
That's actually an option.
Is it?
It is.
How
I
do
tried
you get
playing like 2 episodes. It's in the options.
I checked. I didn't
I'm
have
gonna
that.
pull up the game.
Wow.
Hold up. I'll go to the game right now.
I'll pull up the game and
I
try
like how
finding the
everyone- I like-
options.
I like how everyone's about to go on the game just to go look.
But while my
Well, I
game's
would play-
loading,
the-
what the dialogue was definitely one of the pluses for me. I really enjoyed the cheesiness of it. I really enjoyed the callbacks to all the old Resident Evil jokes, and just
Yeah.
I was almost a Claire sandwich, and then more Barry always tells everyone that joke. I just love the idea
Yeah,
that
made me crack up so hard.
I just love the idea that Barry is sitting at home just telling dad jokes about his horrible time inside the Spencer mansion. I was with this girl,
Right?
Jill, and she was
Meantime,
almost a
Jill
Jill
was
sandwich.
sandwich.
Like I just
Good
love
old
I
Barry.
love that thought. Out of all the characters in the Resident Evil series, like honestly, Claire Redfield is like my favorite character. Like I don't know why, just she's just my favorite Resident Evil character. Maybe it's because of Degeneration. She's such a badass. I don't know, but I just always liked Claire, and it was nice seeing her again in a new game, and her character's
Yes.
like been expanded upon. And not only that, they got the same voice actress for Claire in everything. Yeah, same voice actress from
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2, Degeneration, Code Veronica. It's all the same girl. Like, that's just awesome. Like, what else? I really liked the asymmetrical co-op. I wish I could have had like a co-op partner. I wish they would implement like online co-op for the story mode, but that would have made things a bit more interesting. Granted, it would leave people a lot more open to just a-holes that just don't want to help you.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of the asymmetrical co-op things, because I mean, Resident Evil 5 was a fun game, but it was a bit too easy since you had two people who have all the power. You know, you could just wipe the
Yeah,
floor with
that's
anybody,
true.
especially if your partner playing as Sheva has the bow and arrow, which is unlimited ammo and almost
Yes.
always a one-hit kill. Like, it just made that game in particular just way too easy. So it was nice having like one powerful character and one depowered character, but you need them both to survive. What else? Raid mode. Raid mode is freaking great. I really like raid mode.
Oh, I love it. I co-sign
Yeah.
with you on that one. Raid mode is so good. So good.
Yeah. Like, I was surprised. I was like,
I
raid
did
mode?
a
on it?
fact check.
Yeah.
Claire's voice actor is completely different in Revelations 2.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not her.
I could have sworn it was the same lady.
Also, she starred in the show Big Comfy Couch. No, it says here Court did not reprise the role of Claire in the 2015 video game Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
well, she
they're
sounds like
fun,
her.
though.
Yeah, she really does.
She sounds pretty close. Anyway,
Uh,
sorry. Oh, also, I found the reticle thing. If you go to Options, Display, and Display Info Details, click there and you can change the reticle design to lasers or crosshair. You can change the color of it to white, red, blue, green, and you can change Natalia's awareness colors to red, orange, green, white, and green, orange as different types.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now. I would have liked to have known this beforehand.
Oh, I thought people knew. Yeah, I didn't know because I was reading game facts boards and they're like, is there any way to have laser sights? And people are like, no. And I checked the posts again and people are like, yeah, there is. Yeah, go to display. So I checked it out myself.
See,
It's so wobbly. It's like RE4.
yeah, that's another one of the things where it's in the game, but they don't tell you about it.
I was
But-
disappointed that I didn't know until episode 3.
I'm disappointed I didn't know about it
didn't even
until
know
right
till
now.
Uh,
Yeah, but all in all,
I should have posted about it.
even though I'm not crazy about Revelations 2, I'm happy that we're still getting Resident Evil games. You know? I'm hoping though one of these days that they get it right.
Yeah.
Like, if they have just done
Someday.
Revelations 1 again, but with Claire instead of Jill, perfect. You know? Like, That's all they really had to do. But I
Bring
mean,
Billy back.
You know, I was actually kind of happy. That whole episode thing that they're doing is it's actually pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoy it just because it's like, dude, I can't just breeze through the game and be like, all right,
Yeah.
done. I can actually like take my time, go do
Yeah.
We
things.
talk
and all
about it
that.
every week.
no, I love
Yeah,
the
it's like
episodic nature of it. Yeah, it's great. Like, I don't have a lot of time to play games nowadays, and it was just great. Jump in this week, 2 hours, boom, done with the episode. I could do other things, and then come back to it a week later. Like, that was fantastic. Like, granted, the wait for 4 wasn't worth it, but everything else was fine.
Nope.
Did you hear about my problems?
Oh god, the season pass stuff.
Yeah, that was the biggest dilemma, and there's actually one person who still couldn't get it working after they fixed it.
Really?
Yeah,
That sucks.
it was the saddest thing. It was the worst thing, and I complained about it, and I was like, you know what, I'll wait until the next PSN update, and it'll probably get fixed. And I think it got fixed on somewhere, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I can't remember. It got fixed on one of those it got fixed on, yeah, exactly Tuesday. But the funny thing was my brother bought episode 2 for me.
Well, hey, at
So
least
it was a waste
Team
of his money.
Xbox.
well,
No problems over
just
here.
well, I mean, I didn't have any problems on my PS4, so I don't know. Granted,
It would,
I would have gotten it on Xbox, but I've just always played Resident Evil on PlayStation platforms, aside for the remake, which is on GameCube. But then it came to the next gen consoles, so I was like, I'm gonna get it on PS4 now. So that was great.
good choice.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I need to put more time into Ori and the Blind Forest because my Xbox One is just sitting there longingly staring at me saying, hey, come on, turn me on.
I
But
really want
anyway.
to play that.
But anyway, if we had an opportunity to talk about Resident Evil as a whole, I'm sure we would be here for hours upon hours. But
I could do that.
yeah, I know, right? Like, I have a lot to say about Resident Evil because, like, Resident Evil is one of those franchises that have a special place in my heart. Just it's
Always.
no matter
Always.
how bad
No
they
matter
get, I just
how
have to
shitty the
play
games
them.
get.
Right? Yeah.
I'm new to it.
Like,
Yeah.
like I said, dude, I beat this game when I was what 6 years old. I beat Resident Evil Director's Cut on my own when I was 6. So it's just like ever since then, it's
You're
just been
6, you
Resident
were
Evil
way
all the
younger
way.
than 6.
5, 6, I
way
was
younger
something.
than
I was
6.
somewhere over there.
It was 4. I grew up with you. I remembered this.
Well, I was young. I beat the game. I bet you there's still grown ass men that still can't beat Resident Evil 1. Which is kinda funny.
Oh wait, no, I did. I beat it. I beat it on the DS.
Dang.
That was the fun one.
I still need to play.
I killed
Revelations
Richard.
1. I still need to play Revelations 1 and Resident Evil 6, but I'll get to that eventually, and also finish The Evil Within. But there's way too many things to play.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean,
oh yeah. That.
I play WoW, so that's enough time for me.
Oh gosh, I'm never going back to WoW. I'm never going back to WoW. But before this conversation gets any more derailed, remember you can find the Pixel Clicks podcast on YouTube.com/PixelClicksPodcast. You can watch our live streams on Twitch.tv/PixelClicksPodcast. Find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/PixelClicksPodcast. All those things, Pixel Clicks Podcast. Send us your emails and whatever to pixelclickspodcast@gmail.com and all those good things. So until next time, thank you JJ, thank you Renz, and thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later.
try saying Pixel Click Podcast 5 times really